Tony had been feeling really bad all day. No matter how hard he tried to stop thinking about it, he just couldn't. He was overwhelmed with feelings of guilt and embarrassment. However, occasionally, he'd hear a comforting voice trying to calm him down. "Tony, don't stress about it. It's not uncommon for surgeons to get romantically involved with their patients, and you're definitely not the first. Plus, you're not in a relationship, so it's okay to move on." But every time, another voice would snap him back to reality. "Tony, remember, you're a veterinarian." Two friends went to Wisconsin in winter to hunt deer. After following a large deer for many miles, they finally saw it clearly and shot it. While they were dragging the deer through the snowy fields back to their truck, a ranger stopped them. He wanted to check their hunting licenses and stamps. After making sure everything was okay, the ranger wished them well but gave a tip. "If you guys pull the deer by its front legs instead of the back legs, it will slide more easily in the snow," he said. "This is because you won't be going against the direction of the fur." The hunters thanked the ranger and followed his suggestion. An hour later, while still pulling the deer, the first hunter said to his friend, "That ranger was really nice, and it's definitely easier to drag this deer now." The second hunter agreed, "Yeah, but he wasn't that clever. Now we're even farther from our truck." A man woke up and noticed a small red spot on his forehead while looking in the bathroom mirror. As days passed, the spot got bigger and bigger, so he decided to visit his doctor. After checking him, the doctor was surprised and said, "Wow, I've only read about this, but never actually seen it." Feeling worried, the man asked, "What is it, doctor? Is something wrong?" The doctor explained, "You have a prick growing on your forehead. It's going to keep growing for the next 6 weeks until it's fully developed." The man was stunned. "So you're saying that in about 6 weeks, every time I look in the mirror, I'll see a prick on my forehead?" The doctor answered, "No, not exactly. The testicles will cover your eyes." A man was using a straight-edge razor to shave when it suddenly slipped from his hands and accidentally cut off his prick. Losing blood and feeling faint, he somehow managed to grab his prick, stuff it into his pocket, and rush outside to find a taxi. The taxi quickly took him to the hospital's emergency room. He hurried in, explained to the surgeon what had happened, and anxiously asked if they could reattach his prick. "Yes," the surgeon replied, "but we need to act fast. Hand it over to me." The man reached into his pocket and placed what he found there into the surgeon's hand. Looking puzzled, the surgeon said, "This isn't a prick, it's a cigar." The man hit his forehead with his hand and groaned, "Oh my God, I must have smoked it in the cab." Little Johnny was at a wedding for the first time. After the ceremony ended, his cousin asked him, "How many women is it okay for a man to marry?" Without hesitation, little Johnny said 16. His cousin couldn't believe Johnny had such a quick answer. "Really? How did you come up with that number?" "It's easy," Johnny explained. "All you have to do is add it up like the bishop said. 4 better, 4 worse, 4 richer, 4 poorer." Little Johnny was at a wedding for the first time. After the ceremony ended, his cousin asked him, "How many women is it okay for a man to marry?" Without hesitation, little Johnny said 16. His cousin couldn't believe Johnny had such a quick answer. "Really? How did you come up with that number?" "It's easy," Johnny explained. "All you have to do is add it up like the bishop said. 4 better, 4 worse, 4 richer, 4 poorer." A very ill lady was lying on her bed when she looked at her husband and asked, "Honey, if I pass away, how long will it be before you find yourself a new wife?" Her husband, looking deeply into her eyes, responded, "Until your final resting place is no longer moist, my love." The woman, seeking reassurance, queried, "Do you truly promise me this?" With a solemn nod, her husband affirmed, "Absolutely, my darling, it's a promise." Tragically, not long after this conversation, the woman succumbed to her illness. Following her passing, her devoted husband started visiting her grave every single day. A year went by, and yet the soil of her grave remained damp, never drying up. One evening, during one of his regular visits to the cemetery, the husband noticed someone else near the grave. It was Jason, the brother of his late wife. Curious and somewhat surprised, he asked, "Jason, what brings you here at this hour?" Jason, with a sense of duty in his voice, replied, "I'm here to honor my sister's final request. She asked me to make sure her grave stays wet." While shopping in a store, a man suddenly experienced a severe heart attack. The store employee, noticing him collapse, quickly dialed 911. Paramedics arrived swiftly, transporting him to the closest hospital. There, he underwent urgent open-heart bypass surgery. After the operation, the man woke up to find himself under the care of nuns at a Catholic hospital. Beside his bed, a nun sat with a clipboard full of forms and a pen in hand. She looked at him and asked, "How do you plan to pay for your medical care? Do you have health insurance?" With a weak and hoarse voice, the man answered, "No, I don't have any health insurance." The nun, looking more concerned, then inquired, "Do you have any savings in the bank?" He responded equally softly, "No, I don't have any money saved up." Trying another approach, the nun asked, "Is there a family member who could possibly assist you with the payment?" The man thought for a moment and then said, "The only family I have is my spinster sister, and she's a nun." The nun sang loudly, "Nuns are not spinsters. We are married to God." The man replied with a slight smile, "Perfect. In that case, please send the bill to my brother-in-law." On a chilly winter day, a wife sends a message to her husband. The text reads, "Windows frozen, won't open." Her husband, trying to be helpful, replies, "Try pouring a bit of warm water gently over and then lightly tap around the edges with a hammer." 5 minutes later, the wife sends another text, clearly frustrated, "Computer really messed up now." A young student, working on her school essay, approached her dad with a question. "Dad, can you tell me what the difference is between anger and exasperation?" she inquired. Her dad, thinking for a moment, responded, "It's really about how intense the feeling is. Let me show you an example." He picked up the phone and dialed a random number. When a man answered, he asked, "Hello, could I speak to Melvin, please?" The man on the other end replied, "There's no one named Melvin here. You should check numbers more carefully before dialing." Turning to his daughter, the dad explained, "See, that man was annoyed by our call. He was probably in the middle of something, and we disturbed him. Now, watch what happens next." The dad called the same number again and asked, "Hello, is Melvin there?" The man, now clearly infuriated, yelled, "You just called. I already told you, there's no Melvin here. Stop calling," and then hung up aggressively. The father looked at his daughter and said, "That, my dear, was anger. Now let me demonstrate exasperation for you." He dialed the same number a third time. A furious voice answered, "Hello." The father, with a calm tone, said, "Hello, this is Melvin. Have there been any calls for me?"